Matthew and Leitreanna Brown have something you've been waiting for. You asked for it. Now, you got it. Haunted objects. Possessions that won't die, the chilling new book that dares to uncover the cursed, the creepy, and the downright dangerous artifacts that refuse to rest. From possessed dolls to deadly heirlooms, this book dives deep into the real stories behind haunted items that have terrorized families, baffled investigators, and defied all logic. And guess what? Featuring a foreword by none other than John Zaffis, the paranormal godfather, the haunted collector. This isn't just a book. It's your personal portal into the world of the unseen, and the unforgettable. Available now on Amazon. Haunted Objects. Possessions That Won't Die. By Matthew and Leitreanna Brown. Some spirits attach to people. But these? They attach to things. Order your copy before it finds you first.
Hey Thomas, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Lee? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. This guy's pretty crazy. I think after Albert Fish, he
Yeah,
seems a little mundane.
I know. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks, just so everybody knows. We had a lot of stuff over the last couple weeks. We're
Yes, we have.
busy bees, and but I'm glad we're back on live and
Me
talking
too.
about. Yeah, I know we've been through a lot going on in the Archangel home and also the Dr. Leitreanna Brown Shaman home. So and yeah,
Yeah, we've had a lot going on. There's been a lot,
yeah.
but I'm happy we're back. Could you tell us a little bit about what you've got going? Because I know you've got some stuff happening that's pretty interesting.
So of course, I know you'll be joining us, Lee, and Matt, your
Yeah.
husband, and I know Gwen, who's on a different show tonight, promoting us all. But
Yes.
we are having the Salem Paracon and Horror Fest up in Salem, Massachusetts on November 15th.
Salem. Yes.
Yes, we're gonna have fun. it's only going to be one day. Which makes it great is you have a trip up there. You get to come to the Paracon, okay? And then the next day you could enjoy walking around, seeing Salem for all the history and all the cool stuff. But of course, after Paracon on Saturday, later on that night, we're having a ghost hunt at the Satanic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts. I don't think it's really ever been investigated thoroughly. It's an old funeral home. There's a library attached to it now. That's been gaining a lot of footing. But the week before we do Salem, Charles and I will be running an event, a ghost hunt at the Ansonia Opera House. And if any of you guys know Charles, his book, True Stories, True Haunted Stories from Connecticut, his cover of his book, you'll see there's a shadow figure, and that shadow figure was taken at Ansonia Opera House. This is the third time we've been back. It's always full of interesting stuff. And I think the last time I was there, I caught a picture of an 8-foot tall shadow figure in the back of the stage. So there's always something there. Anytime Charles and I do an event, there's always something that happens. Because Stacia and I we did the Glebe House just a little while ago, and that was crazy. We helped two spirits make the transition. She was picking up on people. Something pushed her. The voice box came through, telling her pretty much none of your business after it pushed her. So there was a lot of stuff going on there at the Glebe House. So yeah, anytime you come on our events, something always happens. But the great thing about the horror side of things is Richard Murtaugh from The Howling's going to be there. Of course, our buddy
that'd be awesome.
James Stokes is coming. So
I can't wait. Guys, you got a lot to look forward to with James.
Jason Voorhees. And
Jason Voorhees, the newest one.
Yeah, and he was on Stranger Things, and he produces some horror films too, so which is nice. So that should be great.
He's a very charming man.
The what?
Yep, he's a very charming man.
Yeah,
and very good with customers. People that come to him and say, "Hey, I watched your stuff." He'll put all the stuff on and then take pictures with you and then take it off, and have it. But the way he was describing putting the gear on, because he has to wear something underneath, which I didn't understand what that was, and then there's like a shirt and then a vest and then the mask. So I mean, I'm sure it takes him. He said that he had to practice meditation because he gets all of that on. It's heavy, it's hot, and he said he just had to be able to calm himself when he needed to, because it can be really daunting.
Well, it's not easy playing.
Pretty cool though.
Not easy playing a horror serial killer.
He said every time he needs to lose weight. Yeah, he said when I need to lose weight, because he was pouring it.
Yeah. Oh God.
So,
yeah.
He said they had to turn the air up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being freezing and he's comfortable,
Yeah.
So that's going to be a great thing. This is what I have coming up. Okay.
Good.
Well, is it going to do it?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's try it again. No.
I see it trying to do something.
What is going on here?
Oh.
Well, I'm going to get it. Darn it. Okay, there you are. And
yeah, there we go.
I'll bring it down so we can see. We'll be teaching it October 7th.
Yeah.
And we're doing workshops. And no, it starts on the 4th, October 4th. And we do workshops. It's only $65. This one is going to include a ghost hunt with it. So people that are taking the workshop can come in and investigate. We've got some really cool places lined up. It's going to be interesting.
That's awesome.
And I've got a pretty big announcement coming up too.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's pretty cool, but I'm not going to do it this one.
No, okay.
I'll wait till next week. But I do want to say, everybody, please congratulate Blaine. I know we've all been worried about him, but he is finished. Here he is. He just, no more chemo and radiation. Done. Now time to heal. That's right, brother.
Yeah, that's right. Hashtag healing. So,
Thank you, Stacia. It is going to be a great event. Yeah, she's so sweet. Oh. So now we're going to talk about the notorious Iceman.
well,
Okay, so this is what I got. I'm going to start with the history. We're going to go back and forth like we do. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So here's the first one. I'm going to bring us down. Could you guys hear me reading it?
The what?
Could you hear me? Could you hear me
No,
reading
no,
it?
I couldn't hear you reading it. So.
Yeah, something weird's going on with this. But anyway, so Kuklinski was a member of organized crime between the 60s and the 1980s, and he earned his name, the Iceman, because he often froze his victims to confuse the time of death and therefore giving him a chance to have an alibi. But as we know, if you watch any true crime, even on television, not the real stuff, but just, fictitious stories, you can tell by the cells being ruptured that it had been frozen. So nowadays it wouldn't work so much, but he was doing his thing. Okay. So, what a nasty man.
Yeah.
Let's
I
see.
think that he got the idea from there was this ice cream truck that would come by, the Mr. Softy, and he knew the guy, and he would tell him, "Oh, yeah, freeze this and all that." Just gave him supposedly the idea. That's what he said when he was getting interviewed in prison. How real that is, I don't know, but he says he got the idea from a Mr. Softy ice cream truck, which is kind of weird, getting it from a kid's ice cream truck and doing these
How could somebody?
murders.
So he was a contract killer who worked for organized crime families in New Jersey and New York.
Yep.
Okay, from the 60s to the 80s. And he would freeze his victims' bodies, some of his victims' bodies, to confuse the time of death, making it harder for law enforcement to track his crimes. Now, question. Does this make him a serial killer, or is a killer for hire considered? You see what I'm saying? Is a killer for hire a serial killer?
Well,
I mean, or just a sociopath that's cashing in on a talent that he would consider she would have.
Well, Kuklinski, right off the bat, as I look into this and try and profile him, he definitely wasn't a sociopath. He didn't. He was very organized in his thoughts, more of a psychopath. He had psychopathy. It was more of his mindset, how he got there. Really, a lot of it's upbringing. But the thing is it does say organized crime. The reason why he got away with a lot of stuff is his modus operandi of how he would kill people was so different. One day it could be he freezes somebody. Another day he could put cyanide on their hamburger. Another time he has a crossbow or an ice pick, or might use weapons, a gun, a stabbing, you name it, whatever worked for him in that position. But yeah, you say the crime and all that. That was like kind of later on, but early on, even from a young age, if we want to go over how he grew up, his family, his mom and dad were immigrants from Poland.
Right. He's
they
Polish.
came, of course, in this country trying to make it and all that. And his dad, I think his name was Stanley or something like that. And he worked on a railroad. He was a brakeman on a railroad, but he was a raging alcoholic. His mother, Anna, I think it's Anna or something like that.
Yeah, she was Catholic.
She worked at a meatpacking factory, but she was very devout Catholic, very strict, to the point where kids acted up, she would beat the crap out of them. So there was abuse there, but then there was also the abuse from the father, who was a raging alcoholic. His
And
father was so
violent
bad.
alcoholic. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, he's growing up getting beaten all the time by broom handles, things like that. But the worst part is, if you really look at it, he had a brother named Florian, at 7 years old, the father beat him to death, and then they made it look like he fell down the stairs so nobody got in trouble. So they were in cahoots about that. So the
Okay.
father and
So
the mother,
yeah.
yeah, and you know, he had another brother as he got older because of all this. He and his brother, what is his name? Joseph. That's it. So I think I would sooner. I forget all these names. I suck with names, but
It's all right.
Joseph. And as he got older, he raped a 12-year-old girl and then dropped her from the top of a roof of a 5-story building to put her to her death. And then when Kuklinski was interviewed about this, um, you know, he said, "Well, we came from the same father." That's what he said. So that really says a lot right there with the trauma growing up and
Yeah.
how that psychopathy works. You know, are you born with it or are you raised from it? That's always the question. And I think with his upbringing, just the way his parents were, it's one of those things we talk about, especially with our Wardruna group, with that ancestral trauma. It's just from generation to generation. And it just seems to get worse and worse when nobody wants to break the chains. So, and it just keeps going on.
Well, I did read in the history that by the time he was a teenager, he
Mhm.
was showing signs of psychopathy, including violent and cruelty to animals
Yeah.
and violent outbursts. And his first murder was when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
He beat a local bully to death. So,
Yeah. 14 years old he was. So, but he didn't know that he killed him. He found out later, but it sounds like after doing all the research, doesn't sound like he got in trouble for it or anybody knew he did it. So another one that he supposedly got away with, or
wow.
you know, but there is a lot when somebody's a psychopath like that. There is that interior about self and wanting to raise self up. So there is a lot of controversy about who he actually killed, who he didn't kill, how many people he killed. Just watching his interviews, I wanted to
Yeah.
watch some interviews just to see. You know, I don't know how they cut these shows sometimes, so I don't know how much I'm getting of it. But when I really watch him talk, you could tell the difference between if he's actually telling a real story and when a fake story. There's
Oh,
such a
wow.
difference in them. It's very minute, but really it's trying to sound like a lot of the serial killers do. They want to be better than the next one. Once they're
Yeah.
caught, they want to appear that grandiose type of self and all that, and kind of showboat it. But he
So,
claims to have killed 100 to 200 people. So,
God bless. Okay, he was born in 1935. By the
mhm.
60s, so he was only late 20s, early 30s, right? He became a contract killer for the mafia, working with families like the Gambinos,
Yeah,
and he handled debt collection. So these are people that weren't just nasty for nasty.
yeah,
Okay, you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. These people may have a gambling habit, or they borrowed money for something and now they can't pay back. And, they're begging, imagine them begging for leniency and more time. Um, you know, he handled debt collection, enforcement, and then also cleanup jobs.
yeah,
So he was a professional killer in every sense of the word.
yeah,
And the freezing delayed decomposition. So
yeah,
it would confuse forensics investigators about the time of death. And like you said, in the history, it says that he used guns, knives, cyanide, strangulation, chainsaws.
yeah.
Um, so
Crossbows, ice picks, whatever was there at the time. So,
you'd think he would plan ahead. I mean, if this was instead of just going
well,
about it,
he did. He did plan ahead.
he
He knew
just
exactly
decided
what
to
he was
do,
going to do.
he just wanted to just try it all, huh?
That's why he was a psychopath. He was more of, he said, I enjoyed killing. He made it fun for himself. Let me try this. Let
Oh,
me
I
try
see.
that.
I see.
One of those deals, like it's just, hey, let's try this. And, those different things. Normal people will say, hey, let's try this food. Let's try that. This guy was like, let me try killing him this way or that way. He's killed people his whole life just for fun. So when we talk about Kuklinski, he is a serial killer because he killed people before he was a hired hitman. He just did it for fun. Like he'll see somebody he didn't like them and kill them. So and just for that. But sometimes you really look at it. Yeah, you gotta still have to have a screw loose to be a hitman.
No
You're getting
shit.
paid, but there is a description of different types of categories of serial killers, and there is
Mhm.
one that are serial killers for monetary gain, and that kind of puts in the category of hitmen or
Yeah.
mob hitmen or anything like that, according to the definition. But I think with Kuklinski, you take all the mob hits out, he was still killing people, and he was doing it for fun. That's the psychopathy of it.
It's
Um,
like he had a performance personality about it because he would
yeah,
go from being calm and then huge anger and then calm.
yeah,
And so that's why Hollywood wanted to make documentaries, and he was the subject of many books, and HBO did a special on him,
yeah,
detailing his life, his murders, and in his interviews.
yeah. The crazy thing, like watching his interviews, I'm watching in how calm and nonchalant he talks about the murders. The only other person that I saw interviewed that acted that way, calm about the murders like nothing, it's almost like they kind of look the same, was Dennis Rader, BTK.
He
So if
has a
you watch
look
their
like him
interviews
too.
side by side, they both have that same psychopath calmness.
Yeah.
They're in control, but they still give away those little tells. Like with Dennis Rader, he has that little, when he's talking, little smirk. Like it's like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm talking about this to you, little peons, because he had such, that grandiose self, that narcissism and all that. It's just the same with Kuklinski. So he has that same traits almost. Like again, we talk about these guys; they're all pattern. Some of them have different reasons. Like we talk about, that screw goes loose at a certain time. And I think he killed people before, but then now he's killing people and he's getting money for it. So it makes it even more fun for him. And he started off with the mob. I guess he did something wrong and got his ass beat by the mob, and he took the beating. And
Yeah.
this Roy DeMeo, supposedly he worked with doing hits for Roy DeMeo, the Gambino family.
Right.
But Roy DeMeo was killed by a hitman, and Kuklinski claimed that he did. But a lot of people, even in the Gambino family, don't remember him being part of some of these hits. So they say. All right,
Really?
because
So
I
they're
think,
gonna
well,
say
you think
they're not
about it
gonna give
this way.
not gonna give him that credit. Okay.
No, well, you think about it this way. Let's look at the mafia, okay? The Italian mafia. I know a lot of times some of the Irish are hitmen for the mafia. That's acceptable, but they'll never become a made man. You have to be Italian to be a made man or part of that. Now we're
Right.
talking about a Polish guy, 6'5", 300 pounds.
Oh
All
my
right, pretty
God. I didn't
intimidating
realize
looking
that.
guy. Now, if you're running an organization that sticks to some kind of rules and organization, this guy's an outsider. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're ever going to give him credit per se. I think I look at it that way. So a lot of people are claiming that he's making false accusations. Are they true? Maybe not, some of them, because he did make the accusation that he was the guy that took out Jimmy Hoffa. I really
Okay.
don't think so. And he also says he took out Roy DeMeo, but there's other people that were involved, like saying the guy's full of crap. But there are clues to other stuff. He was involved with a burglary ring. There was like four other people that were part of it. There was a husband and wife, a couple other people, and one of the people, they were trying to hide him because they were onto him. So
Yeah.
Kuklinski was so afraid that he was going to give him away. He decided, him and the other guy went into the hotel. They kept, paying for his hotel. He's like, I'm done paying for this guy. So he put cyanide into a hamburger. And that's how he killed him. But the only problem is he wasn't dying fast enough. They didn't know what to do with him. So they pulled the bed up and put him in between the bed and the box spring, flattened it out, and just left him there. So
Oh my
it
God.
wasn't days later until people were sleeping in that room for days until it started smelling. So, but that's part of what he did.
That's one of my worst fears.
Yeah. So you lift the mattress up before you come into a hotel.
Yeah.
To get your meter out to, the
Get
blue light to make sure
blue
the
light
sheets are
out,
clean.
Oh my God. Oh.
Oh, it's just
I
crazy.
watched a movie Madonna did. It's 4 rooms or something like that, and there
Yeah.
was somebody inside the body all up in the bed underneath it.
Yeah.
So it kind of did a thing to my brain.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about his arrest and conviction, and I have some paranormal information, okay?
Ooh.
All right, so in the 80s, undercover ATF agents and New Jersey police officers went in undercover to set him up in a sting operation, posing as mobsters. He was arrested December 17th, 1986, and he was convicted of multiple murders in 1988, sentenced to life in prison, and then he pleaded guilty to 2 additional murders, tacking on more life sentences. I guess it didn't matter to him because he knew he was in there from now
One of
on.
them was an undercover police officer that he killed. But that's where it gets crazy, is because he says, I killed him because I was paid to by Sammy the Bull Gravano. But the only reason why he admitted to it is because Sammy the Bull got caught, turning state's evidence. So he says, well, I don't need to be loyal to him anymore because what he's doing. So he decided to say, well, he told me to do it. He was the one that actually did
So
the
he
hit.
was going on the out, so he was like, I can lay it on.
He was
He's already got
trying to-
nothing to lose.
Yeah, he was trying to pull that in. But the only thing was he was pulling in, and the state was really like, well, we're going to use him as a witness in the court case to take Gravano down. But by the time, this is where it gets crazy now, remember.
Yeah,
So
I think you're about to say what I was going to ask you about.
Gravano was about to go up in the court, and Kuklinski was supposed to be a witness, but Kuklinski dies of a heart attack in prison. Just before he's supposed to, but that's where it gets, did he die naturally or was he killed?
Allegedly by natural causes, but I think they withheld medical treatment. I really do, as a planned testimony against a mob associate.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if they cyanide him, because he cyanide all those other people. That was like his favorite thing. He says it's nice and easy. The people that he gave cyanide to were in close relationship with him, because you can't just like kill somebody with cyanide unless it's one of those, let's break bread and talk and pretend I like you, and then slip something into your drink or into your hamburger and all that, and just let it happen. You have to be in close.
It's a horrible death. It's a horrible death. And oh my God.
But I think he
Imagine
enjoyed watching
somebody
them
suffering.
Yeah.
And then sticking them between the bed and the box spring. Oh my God.
Well, that's what he said. When he ate the hamburger, nothing was happening right away. And then all of a sudden he's like started choking. It was almost like he enjoyed watching him die that horrific death. It's crazy. Finding joy in that as a
What
killer.
he felt like dying, because he talked about himself being empty. He could kill without hesitation. He also said that people, other killers took killing too seriously, that it was actually a casual thing. And but yet he was also like BTK, that a Dennis Rader, because he maintained a family life.
Exactly.
He masqueraded as well, so was Bundy, a caring husband, a caring father, but he had that mask
Bundy, I
of being
think
a
Bundy
normal
only
dude.
had like one daughter from him. A lot of them were like kids that he started relationships with, and the other people already had kids. But going to his first wife was I think the name was Linda, and he had 2 boys with her. One one was like Richard Jr. and I don't know what the other name was, but so he was like doing his supposed business, and he had somebody in the office who happened to be this Barbara, and Barbara became his second wife, and he had 3 kids with Barbara, and one was Merrick, one was Kristen, and the boy whose name was Dwayne. So, so,
We love
and
you, Stacia.
yeah,
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for watching. You guys share this out. I'm only streaming on 8 channels tonight instead of sharing it around. So pass it
yeah,
around for me and be sure to ask questions.
yeah,
Something else really took me back. And
yeah,
so he mentioned that he used fear as a way to
yeah.
control people.
Hmm.
And at first that was addictive, but he said he was impulse driven aggression and he was addicted to killing because
Yeah,
it was his addictive choice of drug.
yeah.
I thought, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. But if you go back to
Do
his
you think this
kids,
he's a sadist, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, in that way, in a way, not sexually oriented or anything like that.
No, no.
But if you go back to his family, you really got to look at the dynamic there. This is where I'm really looking at his mind frame when I'm trying to profile somebody. Sometimes
Yeah.
there's these little things that throw you off a little bit where it doesn't meet the pattern. That's why people are a little different, that fingerprint, why they do what they do. Having his children, you think somebody that's a psychopath, you masquerade, but do you really care? His oldest daughter, I guess, got really sick and was in the hospital. He never left her side. He was there for
Yeah.
her,
He could
and
switch. He had a split psyche, right?
yeah, and he's trying to take care of her and all this other stuff, and which is bizarre. Yeah, you want to take care of your kids, but you're a psychopath. A lot of times these people just don't give a shit, and
Sorry, Luna's having a moment.
oh, I love Luna. Hi, Luna. So
She
she probably
knows
hears
you're
my
on.
voice.
She knows
Yeah,
you're
she
on,
knows.
and she hears your voice, and she's climbed up
Yeah,
behind me, and
yeah.
she got her something caught in her throat. She was scratching her
Oh, no.
toe and choked
Oh, boy.
herself.
Yeah,
So
so you go
I
to
was
that
going to
point,
ask, sorry.
you go to that point with her, but also one of his murders. You think if he killed somebody, he wouldn't feel bad about it? He felt bad about one situation. He says, I should have done this differently. He was murdering somebody, and the person was like, please don't kill me. He was like, God, don't kill me. He kept talking, God, God, God. So he says to the guy, I'll give you a half hour to pray to your God. If he intervenes, I'll let you go. So of course
Woo!
he didn't
Oh God,
intervene, and he
that's
ends up
horrible.
killing the guy. But he says afterwards, because he grew up Catholic with his mom, and all that discipline, I actually felt bad about that one. I shouldn't have done it that way. So
Well, with his mother being Catholic, like you said,
yeah,
his desire well, he's not a narcissist.
yeah,
Okay, that's another part of it. He mocked cops and law enforcement and
yeah,
thought everybody was weak because he had no stress whatsoever about
yeah,
killing someone.
yeah,
He often used fear as a way to control. He thought he was smarter and stronger than everybody else. Being a
mhm,
sadist, using cyanide, strangulation. He tortured his victims, and he enjoyed it. He said he
yeah,
enjoyed it. Self confessed, and later he said, "I don't know why I do it." So he
yeah,
was, I mean, in control, and yet he was out of control. He had the split psyche of the family man and the
yeah,
psychopath killer. When you say psychopath, it often seems like, okay, this person's crazy, out of control, can't. No, he was in control. He
yeah.
didn't know why he did it, but he
He
loved it.
was. If you really want to look at it, a lot of people wonder, well, what's the difference? Psychopath, sociopath, those types of things. Emotional attachments. You really think about it. A psychopath, they lack that emotional attachment. Where like a sociopath, they could have attachments, but they usually have limited, like just a few people. They have their little circle. Um, that way, it still keeps them in control, but it's still kind of out of control. The behavioral stability. Psychopaths more oriented and calculated in their actions. Sociopaths a little more erratic in their behavior. So when you're really trying to get into the mind, you're seeing those differences. Their social interaction. Psychopaths, they could easily come into society because they do able to fake that, hey, I'm just a normal guy, almost like what Gacy used to do. He
Yeah.
was
I
involved in
was thinking about
politics and
that.
things like that, even though he's that psychopath, just I could be in that. But a problem with a sociopath, they could be part of those groups, but then people start finding them weird and things start to fall apart for them because they can't maintain as a sociopath. So those are some of those differences when you're really looking at somebody to really see what side of the fence they're on. And,
Right.
it's really hard to really pick it up. I know this is the crazy part. No relation, not the same person, but when he was in prison, they were trying to do if he was a psychopath. Two doctors agreed that there's a test that they do. They still do it, I think. It's like been revised a few times. It's the hair psychopathy checklist. So they go through these 40 things. If they're on the higher end, they're going to be, of course, considered a psychopath. He was really on the high end of it. And two of the doctors that were doing this test, one of the doctors' names, Dr. Harold Shipman. Does that sound familiar? It's not
Yeah.
the same guy, but what are the odds at the
Oh
same
my
time
God.
Shipman is getting arrested for what he did out in Great Britain as a doctor is around the same time, that
And he died of mysterious nature, right?
yeah, yeah,
Maybe they withheld medical treatment. Ah, heck.
yeah. So it's weird it's the same name, but it's not the same doctor.
Not
So
the same guy.
yeah, I always think of it as like that's so weird that out of all names, how many Dr. Harold Shipmans are there in the world? So
That's
both being
affiliated with
doctors,
serial
one being
killers.
a notorious serial killer, probably killing the most people ever, and just another uh, guy in New Jersey killing people. So it's just so many weird things as you really dive in down the rabbit hole with this guy, and there's so many different things, and just how he killed people, what he would do, just nonchalantly say, "Yeah, I just stuffed him in a couch cushion, or put him in a barrel and threw him
Yeah.
into the New Jersey one of those rivers or whatever he had to do to get rid of them, chop them
Yeah.
all up, put them in
I
plastic."
noticed he threw him in the Hudson River.
Yep.
He put them in drums and barrels and
Mhm.
would freeze them and then put them out in warehouses, parking lots, and that kind of stuff. And just throwing the body in the rivers, pretty crazy. But there was the one guy, oh, also New Jersey and Pennsylvania, back
Yeah.
roads, and
Oh, yeah.
the Jersey buying barons, where the mob, they used that as a dumping ground anyway, but
Yeah.
he stuck it out there. Paul Hoffman, who died in 1982, was trying to buy fake drugs from
Mhm.
Kuklinski. Okay. And Kuklinski shot him and froze his body for 2 years and then left him in a parking lot. And when the
Yeah.
coroner found the crystals, ice crystals in the corpse, that's how they named him the Iceman.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the big things for him during that time as a hitman. He was doing stuff for himself, trying to get money. So what he would do is he would set up these fake business dealings, meet somebody wherever, and he knew they were bringing the money, so he could make the exchange. He would just kill them and just take the money. So he never had the stuff to give them. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how he would do things. But I think originally his business, when he first started off, before he became an official hitman, he was working at a video place and he saw, hey, these pornography videos, I could, pirate them and make money. And that's kind of how that started. And then he got into his gang that he had, where he killed a couple of his, gang members because he thought they were going to turn evidence on him. So this kind of crawls into all these different things. He did have that fear of getting caught. And the thing was in the end, he trusted a guy. Um, remember his name was Phil Salamine or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it, but pretended to be his friend. And this guy was working with the ATF agents, and that's how he got set
Wow.
up. And they ultimately arrested him. He was on everybody's radar because all these witnesses said out of the 5 deaths of people that were missing, Kuklinski was the last one to see him. So, so they started trying to figure out how they were going to get him, and they got him, like, you know, with the ATF, with weapons, drugs, and all that. So the ATF agent went in posing as somebody that wanted him to take out this Jewish drug lord, so they were trying to set that up, and that's how they got him, because he started bragging to the ATF agent about
Oh
how
my
he killed
goodness.
people with cyanide and all the different kills he did, bragging, you know, that grandiose, like, hey, I'm the best, you got
Yeah,
the
that
right guy.
narcissism.
Yeah, and don't realize that, you know, the guy he was trying to trust thought he was trusting and give him away. But it just tells you, time's going to run out on you. No matter
Yeah.
how good you think you are at killing people, time will run out. You're going to get caught, especially nowadays with what we have technology-wise. So, yeah.
So Kuklinski, after he was imprisoned, they interviewed him. He admitted dissolving bodies in acid,
Mhm.
feeding remains to rats in caves in New Jersey. Um, he let's see, he experimented.
Yeah.
His reputation was experimenting with disposal, just like experimenting with killing. He
Yeah.
said he used mine shafts, wells, um, parking lots after he'd freeze them or use, some acid or whatever. And he left the dissolved body in acid out for scavengers, which I can't imagine a scavenger wanting to eat acid, but
Yeah, it's true.
he's out there just leaving them around, just here.
When you think about it, same thing. He enjoyed death so much, but it looks like he enjoyed just as much of different ways to dispose of these bodies. That's why
God.
it's hard to really, because he says, "Oh, I killed like 100 to 200 people," but they couldn't really track it. The only thing they could really prove were the 5, people that he was ultimately convicted of. But really, could he have done it? Yeah, because his way of killing people was so different that how are they going to trace that to him unless he
They can't get
specifically
a
says,
motive.
yeah,
Yeah, mode of operandi. It can't be
yeah,
targeted
exactly.
on him. So
Yeah, but
that's smart.
if he doesn't have the memory like somebody like BTK remembers every little thing about his murders, but if he doesn't remember specifically, because he sounds more like he has a little bit of it, but then he exaggerates, so you don't really know what's real and not. So that's why it's
Yeah,
hard to track down any of these other crimes that he supposedly says he did. Because when you
right.
say, "Yeah, I killed Jimmy Hoffa," well, tell us where he is, and he can't. You
I
know,
can't.
that's one of the biggest names. So I think, even the Roy DeMeo, if you're a made man, they're not going to let some Polish hitman kill you. It
Nope.
doesn't work that way. It's got to be another made man that's up on the list. You know that there's a hierarchy in the mob. So there's some holes in some of what Kuklinski said, but a lot of the stuff that he ultimately went to prison for, yeah, he was responsible for. But a lot of the
Well,
stuff he talked about after, I think, was just showboating. So,
yeah. Um, I think it's besides the fact that he can dabble with ways to kill and dabbles with, in entertain himself with manners of killing people and disposing of in same with disposing. Isn't he creative? Uh, um, I think the dark core, his sadism, his narcissism,
mhm.
is every bit as frightening as his ability to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
How he can switch roles and where his family didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
he can go murder somebody and go have, meatloaf with kids and his wife.
Well, that's the whole thing. There's the story of him. It's Christmas Eve. His family's all gathered, and he says to his wife, "I have to go out really quick. I'll be right back." He goes out, murders somebody, stuffs him in a barrel, comes back, and enjoys the rest of the party like nothing ever happened. That was the type of mentality that he had, And again, I keep coming back to Dennis Rader, BTK. They're so similar in a way. I
Yeah.
know BTK was more of a sadomasochist, that side of things that was sexual. But really, I think, with Kuklinski, he liked killing so much. I don't know if that made him happy and turned him on. He never really admitted to that. but there is sometimes when you enjoy something that much, it can be a turn on for you in
Well,
that.
it reminds me of Albert Fish, because that
Yeah,
was his deal.
yeah,
He got off on, literally, on inflicting harm to people.
yeah.
So I did a search on the notorious murders of Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman.
Yeah,
And this is
yeah,
what popped up. God help us. Okay,
yeah,
we've got George Malaban,
yeah,
and he was a business acquaintance who got on Kuklinski's bad side, and he murdered him during a car ride in New
yeah.
Jersey. Shot him in the head with a sawed-off shotgun, and then stuffed his body in the car and abandoned the car. And they found it
And
later.
then took the rest of the cannolis.
Oh my God. Well, he's got his priorities, man.
That's my Godfather thing,
Oh,
Hashtag
geez.
cannoli.
There it is. There it
Yeah,
is.
leave
And I told you
the gun
about
and take the cannolis.
the cannolis. It's the cannolis. Paul Hoffman. Okay, we talked about him. He's the
Yeah.
first one I think he froze, but anyway, or one that was frozen. Gary Smith. Okay,
Hmm.
this is the motel room.
Yeah,
And,
that's the
and
guy we got the hamburger cyanide. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Hamburger cyanide stuck in between the mattresses. So that one is a lot about, we're going to make this easy. Oh, but he's not dying, and I'm just going to be cruel in the end.
yeah,
Really, really cruel. Okay,
yeah.
Daniel Deppner. He was the undercover betrayal, and this is the one you were telling me about, the police officer, right?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so Deppner was another associate who helped with crimes, okay? But then he turned and was providing evidence to the police. So Kuklinski suspected he was a thief and was
yeah,
betraying, the boys. So he poisoned him with cyanide and then just strangled him for good measure and dumped his body out in New Jersey in a wooded area, and a bicyclist found him.
yeah,
God, this just keeps coming. Louis Masgay, the parking lot corpse. He's one that he froze and stored him for 2 years before dumping
yeah.
him out.
Oh,
Roy DeMeo, okay. He was a
I don't know
Gambino
about that
front.
one, but we'll just say, yeah,
Yeah, he talked about it. So,
yeah,
maybe not. But okay, he ran a violent crew in Brooklyn, and some said that Kuklinski was contracted to kill him when
yeah,
DeMeo became a liability. I don't think so. He talked about it in interviews, but they
yeah,
found DeMeo's bullet-ridden body in the trunk of his car in Brooklyn. Okay, so he just practiced some random killings.
yeah.
It's a skill. It's a perishable skill, apparently. He killed homeless people, strangers, motorists for practice.
Anybody that looked at him the wrong way, he would,
Yeah. Once
follow him
he
and
killed a
kill
man on
them.
the sidewalk just to test his crossbow.
Yeah,
Jeez,
exactly.
he'd spray cyanide in people's faces,
Yeah, I wonder how
and
this
then it
works.
was never caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Do you
God,
ever
this guy.
see? Do you ever see the? It almost reminds me. Do you ever see the movie In the Line of Fire? So,
Yeah.
with Clint Eastwood plays the Secret Service guy, and he's like
Yeah.
kind of demoted because he was part of the JFK crew. So now this
Right.
other guy, wants to kill the president. So this guy makes this plastic gun. So if anybody hasn't seen the movie, I'm going to ruin it for you. But he makes this
Michael,
plastic gun so he could sneak it in so nobody knows. What's up, Mike? Hope you're doing
how
better,
do
my
I
friend.
dissolve debt? You put
Yeah,
it in acid in a barrel and
yeah,
freeze them. I don't
yeah.
know.
There you go. But with this
Thank you,
plastic
Blaine. We
gun,
miss you so much. We
yes,
miss you. And you are on the other side of this.
yes, exactly, my
Wow.
brother. We need you back on very soon. We need some really
Very
good
soon.
hashtags and your good research and stuff. So, but I'm glad you're on the mend, my brother. But
Yeah,
with
me
this
too.
plastic gun in the movie, there's people duck hunting, and he just like sitting there like telling. He's just sitting there, and he like pulls it out, and they go, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and he just shoots them like it's no big deal. And it's that psychopathy, these killers and all that. It's crazy, 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 crazy. I don't know
So,
how that mind works. You could try and pull it apart, but yeah.
okay. So, some of the stuff that popped in my head as I was going through some of the history,
Hmm.
okay, this seems a bit spiritual in a negative way. Okay. In prison, he talked about, why did you do it? Why did you do it? And he said something compelled him to do it. He even went on to say he was addicted to it.
Yeah.
So he made an argument, that the things that he said could lend the idea of possession or oppression, where
Right.
outside factors drives his destructive behavior. Um, Also, another point of possible paranormal um, interference, the locations that's tied to Kuklinski's dumping sites
Yeah.
are known to have a very negative atmosphere. There's the dumping sites, abandoned buildings, the New Jersey killing grounds, and it makes me wonder if, in spirit, is he even trying to revisit?
Yeah.
Because he said that he wished he could go back and see some of the places before he died, and I thought, God, maybe he is. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. This is what I'm going to tell you. This is kind of what I feel, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. Again, we talked about how his mom and dad were abusive. His own dad killed his
Brother.
brother, and all that, in that alcoholism, and just how that ancestral line of that trauma, that abuse, and what people become, it gets worse and worse. What we call the familiar demon. All right. That familiar demon could get caught in your ancestral line, and it gets passed on, where it just gains more and more power because there's such more and more trauma. Um, could he have that familiar demon on him? Could he have had the attachment his whole life? Yes, he could have. It can
Yeah.
react at any time, make him do these things. That's a theory
Generational
behind it.
curse.
Yeah. So you really look at that, and again, it's learned behavior, like you were talking about. Epigenetics is another thing. It's just passed on and passed on, and it just gets worse and worse. Where we talk about the mice, with the cheese, the parents can't find it that well, but once they're born, they find the cheese a lot easier. So is that building of the trauma? They get worse and worse, more and more of a killer, until it gets broken.
Right.
It's basically him getting caught, I think, really gave a
Yeah.
lesson to his own children,
Yeah.
uh, to see they didn't want to be that way, and finally, hopefully, breaking that chain in that Kuklinski family. So we have to see from that. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, he could have had that attachment his whole life, pushing him that way with that trauma and that familiar family demon.
That's what I worry about.
Hmm.
For with a lot of people, that familiar demon that's off of his father, off of the brother, that was murdered. Now
Yeah.
it turns on him,
Hmm.
plus the experiences and trauma that he had, and then he just copy and paste what he experienced. It
Yeah.
was nothing. It's I think people that are in abusive relationships and they cycle very
Hmm.
violently, they just expect, well, stuff happens. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It'll turn around in a little bit. They don't mean to do it. And then after a while, they don't even need to ask a reason why they did it.
But
And now all of a sudden it's okay for them to do it too. It's
yeah,
just
it is.
conditioning.
Me working in the prison system, I think I told the story before. I had an inmate down in Florida who used to clean my office, and it was called Charlie Dorm. That's where a lot of the pedophile inmates were, to keep separate, so people didn't go off and kill them in the prison. So they were like in their own little section. I had left the state of Florida, retired, come back up here, and visiting at the hospital, and there was a newspaper, and on the front page, his picture. I'm like, what the hell is that guy that cleaned my office on a newspaper from Connecticut? Come to find out, he has the Interstate Commerce Act, is where you could move prisoners to different states because of who they are, or popularity, or what they did for a living. Well, he was a probation officer for young kids. He molested over 100 kids, and now these kids grow up
And
and
they
become
will
molesters
repeat.
themselves, and they're saying, well, it's because of what he did to me is why I'm doing it, to try and get out of their sentence. But
They
it
do
is.
repeat what they haven't conquered. They do.
Exactly, but all 100 of them? No, some of them, you know, it goes to show you, even as us as human beings, you know, we all go through trauma. A lot of us, some of them's been abused or mentally abused or anything like that. You're going to take two paths. You're going to take the path of doing things like Kuklinski and all these other people we talk about, or you're going to take that trauma and try and heal from it. Yes, it's still there. It's always going to be on the shelf, but you make that
Yeah.
decision to overcome it
Yeah.
and take the hard road. Some people take the easy road and just let it get out of hand, or they could heal from it, like we try and do, like yourself, Lee. You know, like the Wardruna group and what we do for people, especially when we're talking about what we're talking about and how we could help people at a young age avoid these things when they are going through that trauma, especially with children, you know. And I know all of us have had those issues to try and help children and intervene because they're going through what they see, and try and get them to see it to the point where they don't go that direction, where they go the direction to heal. So we have to be very aware of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, do you have anything? We're coming up on the end of this.
I
Do you
know
have
we're coming
anything you'd
up,
like
but
to bring up?
well, you know, it was a great show. It's just you and I,
I
so that doesn't
know.
happen often. But you know, I always love hanging out with you, so we always have a good
Yeah,
time.
I miss all of our compadres.
Yeah, I
I'll
can't.
be
Yeah,
glad
I
when we
can't
get
wait.
back to normal.
Yeah, I
I
can't
think,
wait. We'll have the four squares again, and just us all.
yeah, that'll be awesome. And,
Yeah,
we're looking at Darktober, and
yeah,
when that happens, it's going to be, it'll be a peak time for us and for true crime, serial killers,
mhm,
Halloween. So,
yeah,
yeah, we got some
yeah.
cool
We got
things coming up, fun things to talk about.
yeah, we
So,
got a lot of stuff coming up. You know, the Salem Paracon, of course, www.salemparacon.org. Just see all the people that are coming. Get tickets there. Also, you know, get your reservations for the ghost hunt in Salem at the
right,
Satanic Temple. So that'll be a big one, and all that
that's
stuff
going to
going
be
on.
intense.
Yeah, but the big thing in October is every weekend in October, if you come to East Haven, Connecticut, there's the Trolley Museum, and Charles, with us, the shaman and the showman, run an event where it's almost like a murder mystery kind of thing. But
Oh
this
my
year
gosh.
we changed it up, so when you're on the trolley, it's going to be an alien invasion. You have to figure out who the alien is, and so you never know who's on the trolley with you. You have to figure it out. And the great thing is, it's sponsored by our favorite place. We do a lot of events on Thursday called Transylvania Restaurant, which is a Romanian
Oh my
Dracula
gosh,
themed
that sounds
restaurant.
amazing.
Yeah, they have all kinds of great food there that you could get, Romanian food. A lot of themes you could get. There's this donut they make, and on the donut is two little donuts that look like when Vlad would impale people. Impaled on the donut. There's a drink you could get, looks red, and it comes with teeth. You know, your vampire teeth and all that. So yeah, go check them out. Oh, there you go, Leg of Joe. Got to have that. So
Yep,
it's
gotta
almost
have
like, yeah,
it.
like we're talking about Kuklinski, freezing people. So I guess you could
Yeah,
have
yeah,
froze some Leg of Joes. I
yeah,
guess he didn't eat them like Dahmer did, but hey, still frozen. Little Leg of Joe waiting to
yep.
go.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know what he did. He may have experimented with that too.
Yeah. He just never admitted to it.
No
So, or those
boundaries.
in the
Yeah.
interviews. Yeah. You never know. But yeah, I think a lot of people that are cannibals, it's almost like we talked about with Dahmer, was he wanted people to be consume them so they never leave them kind of thing. I think a lot of them are that way. That's that abandonment part that they go through as a young person. And that's how it manifests into that when people don't make you go one way or the other and get that help like we talked about.
Right. This is something that popped up. The dead are here to fix their shit.
Hey,
Maybe
I
he's
think I know
like,
where that comes. I know where that
oh,
comes
that's all
from.
you, brother. But maybe that's why
Where have
he's
I heard
hanging
that
out.
from? I think I
You.
know somebody who very close to me that says that quite a bit, and she is exactly right. Stacia,
Yeah.
my darling, you are exactly right. It is, and
I
really
thought maybe
all
that's why there's some
yeah,
spiritual things that popped out looking at the history of it, because maybe he finally has regret.
yeah, yeah, or in the afterlife, who knows? Maybe he might have difficulty moving on, like we talked about, helping the living and the dead make that transition. He could still be stuck somewhere. He could really, depending on a lot of factors. He might be showing up at a few places. We don't know. Check those things out in Jersey. But even some of these mob people said that he was so evil and killed people so easily that they did call him they called him the devil. Uh, that's what they kind of called him. And but yeah, he was terrible. Even to his own wife. His wife would not say anything. She knew what getting money in, and she just, I'm not going to say anything. But he'd come home angry, broke her nose a few times. She said, got to the point she wanted to leave him and said, I want to see other people. And he put
Uh-oh.
a knife in her back and slowly put it in just enough and said, you're never going to leave me. So he just, that control. And, that's something we didn't talk about, that relationship. But I think, again, expounds on his father beating the crap out of his own mother and threatening her. And that's that learned passing on generation to generation, that familiar demon we talked about that keeps going on, jumping from one person to the next. So,
Yep. So that's our show.
nice.
Everybody, thank you for watching. Next
Yeah.
week, we'll have a special guest, and she knows someone that is a serial killer.
Ooh, it's going to be a
And
good one.
so we're going to talk to her about what the heck happened.
Yeah.
And did she have any idea?
Yeah.
And, now that she's looking back, what do you see that you didn't possibly? So it's going to be an interesting conversation. So,
It is. It goes back to the old quote that we talked about when we first started doing this. In your lifetime, you'll indirectly or directly come into contact with 33 serial killers. So just remember that. Just so everybody out there, be careful, keep your eyes open, take care of your children, love them properly, give them that ability to be able to grow up properly and all that. But again, Blaine, we're thinking of you.
yeah, buddy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but we're always there for each other, and a lot of
All
love
right.
for everybody out there. And glad that you guys got to watch. Hopefully, you enjoyed the show. Rebroadcast, reshare it out. Just that always helps. Send some stars. Anything that you could do to help out the network is very much appreciated.
Yeah, we need it. We need it. It helps keep us going to know that
Yeah,
we're touching people and helping people realize what is out there.
yeah.
Thank you for watching Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murders. Till next time, remember to stay peaceful and make good choices. Mwah, mwah.